Is that right? I'll do my little 1 to 2 minute intro and I'll send it to you, Rochelle.
Do you want to introduce Tia?
Oh, sure, I can do that because I was going to say something about Tia.
Yeah, so why don't you introduce Tia?
Okay, I'll do that. And yeah, and then I'm going to just talk about a couple of things on the website. And
yeah.
Yeah, so it'll take me 2 minutes or less.
All right. So it's going to take us a minute to connect on Facebook here. So I'm going to start the process.
Okay.
Let's see. Share. Do we share in an event? Or do we just share on the news feed? I think we share on the news feed because we're multiple news feeding.
Do I want to go to the live on our Facebook page or do I want to go to events?
Well, see, that was my question is maybe I do it on events or should I did it to the news feed.
I think it must be live because all the past videos are under live.
Okay. So we're getting there.
Yeah, and after I hand everything off and everybody's done their little intros, et cetera, I mute myself and take myself off video. And then I watch the Facebook page to see who's asking questions, making comments. So I'll only interrupt you, break in when that happens and you can answer a question.
Oh, thank you, Marcia. I'm sorry. Thank you, Maggie.
Yes.
Sorry about that, Marcia.
Well, that's okay. 2 M names. It's, you know, I've been called Martha too, so.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. It hasn't asked me which pages I'm supposed to be doing. So that's why I think it's on the wrong thing and I might have to stop. And so I don't know. We're hoping I might be on my Facebook page instead of yours. Correct.
Oh, we got more people coming in on
Correct.
Zoom.
We have to stop. We have to stop Facebook Live. Sorry. Oh, God dang it. Stop, everybody. Hi, sorry, I'm on the wrong Facebook page.
Whose page were you on?
My personal Rochelle J page. So I really apologize, folks. Let's just live on Facebook. I don't know why it was acting. It's supposed to ask me where I want to go. Now I'm having a hot flash, so I apologize.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, just give it a couple of minutes, then you'll be freezing.
Share on a page you manage. There we go. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. We'll get there.
If our internet was faster, maybe. Okay, then I want to also cross promote to more pages. Bobby Bead. All right, and now we're going live. So we really appreciate all your patience, everyone, for our slow technicalities here. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Looks like we're live.
We sure are. Thanks so much, folks, for joining us. Maggie Thompson, why don't you take it away?
Okay. Oops, I gotta turn my volume down here on the phone. Yeah, hi, my name's Maggie Thompson, and I'm the president of the Upper Midwest Bead Society for this year. And I want to welcome you all. This is our Beading Basics Live. It's hosted by Bobby Bead and our ever faithful board member, Rochelle Peterson. And today we're going to be having 3 different beading sessions. One with Julie Bircham, one with Hannah Rosner, and then Rochelle will be teaching a class, and it's all 1-hour class. And then I want to make sure that everybody gets to meet Tia Pearson, who is our speaker for May 3rd at our member meeting. And correct me if I say this wrong, Tia, but she makes jewelry and decorative pieces out of used pop cans. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Okay, cool. I got that right.
You got that right.
Rehearsed that one. Okay, so she will be at our May 3rd member meeting, which will take place. It'll stream through our Facebook 2021 members page. And it'll also, the Zoom link will be sent to all of our members. And she will be talking about her art form. And Tia will also be doing next month's Beading Basics Live. And she has a project, and we'll get into that more later. And what I want to do now is just encourage everybody to go to our, excuse me, umbs.org website. I've been updating it and trying to make it a little more user-friendly. And I've got the homepage pretty much done. So I'd really appreciate it if people could go and take a look. And it does show all of our events from today through June, through our member meeting for June 7th. And yeah, and let me know what you think. The other pages aren't even begun yet. So please don't look at those yet. Not just yet. I'm getting to those. And last thing I want to say here is our June 7th meeting we're going to have Diane Fitzgerald as our speaker. She is our founding mother of the Upper Midwest Bead Society, and she is going to speak about the history of geometric beaded shapes and her own Johnson Solids project, which was an incredible undertaking that she did last year. And so that's what I have to say. And now I'm going to hand it off to Rochelle to introduce our 3 lovely beaders for today. Thank you all.
Hi, I'm Rochelle J. from Bobby Bead, and I love to welcome our first artist is Julie Bircham. She has been creating all kinds of beautiful things, and I've been following her on Instagram, so I'm super excited for her to show you what she's been doing too and teach you one of her beautiful little things. And Hannah Rosner will be going second, teaching us how to do faster peyote or fastest peyote. Well, I'll let them speak for themselves. I'm going to go last, so stick around for me later. But Julie, tell us what you're doing.
Okay, hi, thank you so much. I just wanted to thank Rochelle
thank the Beading Society and Bobby Bead. I am a relatively new beader, so this is scary and fun and just really such an honor. So thank you so much for having me. So Rochelle, like she said, she follows me on Instagram. I only have Instagram. I have to work on my Facebook. I am also working on a website, but my names, if you can see this, I just redid all of this. But if you are on Instagram, you can find me at Jules and Leo. I just did my very first like big cohesive collection, and it all revolved around these 3 colors. It had a few other things, but I was feeling like it was so dark and still snowy, and I just needed some bright coral and greens in my life. So Rochelle was so sweet to say how much she liked it and asked me to do my woven hoop, which is right here. It's a relatively simple design. I mean, it's just a delicate little daisy, and it's good for people who are just starting because it's really only 3 rows. So it's not going to take very long to do. Let me see if I can get that a little bit better. But so this is what we're going to do today. I did make it. So once I get on something and I like it, I do it in like all the colors. So I had a green background with a pink flower and a white center. And then I did a white background. So you can see all those on the Instagram page if you want, just to show you. So I did just do florals with this last, well, with this first launch, first and last really. And then this too, the ones that I'm wearing were my like bigger show-stopping piece that I made for that collection. But I just wanted to show you that this is really versatile. I don't know how common this is, if a lot of people do this beading earring, but I was feeling funky one day. I made a whole series of earrings with these like wild colors. But again, it's just 3 little rows, but depending on like what color choices you pick and how you arrange them, it just can be like super different. I also saw, I hope this isn't like too basic. I feel like you guys are really good beaders. So, but anyway, here's just another example. I ended up using a bugle on this one. I don't know what you guys think, but if I start going more than 3 rows, it'll get a little wobbly, like really bendy, and it does bend. So you do kind of have to like line them up throughout the day while you're wearing them. But I feel like 3 is a really good, 3 rows is a really good place to start and stop, because then they just are pretty solid and will maintain their shape really well. So you do not have to use these colors. Like I said, I switched them all out. You can do whatever you want. If pink is not your thing, then, you know, do whatever you want. That's what I love about beading. It's like, I told Rochelle, I'm like, you do know that I taught myself how to do this and I am not an expert, but she said, that's fine. So here I am. Thank you so much for coming along on this ride with me. But to start, so I'm going to just show you guys, I did in my supply list, I make these normally on a sterling silver, and this is a 45. So it's it's bigger. I'm going to show you just for time's sake. This is a 35 millimeter round. So you can see it's just a little bit smaller. But that's just for time. I have found that when I start, sometimes this will pop out and pull. Oh, you can't really, sorry, pop out and pull. So I like to keep this latched. And then I like to start on the end that has the hoop, so that when I'm pulling, I'm not kind of warping the hoop, if you know what I mean. Like I want to try to keep, because you are tugging so much and so often, that you want to try to maintain the shape of the hoop as best you can. Just something, you know, certainly not necessary, but something that I found is helpful. So I don't know how you guys start, but I start with a double knot, like a real tight. I try to kind of eyeball, I started one here, where it's gonna be. But the nice thing is it's kind of forgiving in that if you're like, oh my gosh, wait, I need to go way more to the right or to the left, you can kind of scooch all of the beads as you go. I like to leave a big tail because when I am weaving this in at the end, nothing drives me more bonkers than having like this much of a tail and I have to weave it in. And, you know, I'm at the end of my piece and I just want it to be done and beautiful. And yet here I am futzing with a teeny tiny little tail. So let me get myself threaded up here. And let's see. Oh, this is gonna, let's see. There we go. All right, so now we have a double knot. You can certainly feel free if you're pretty confident to just add, I found that this Gorilla Glue, the super glue, is really helpful with this super fine tip. You can just put like a teeny little dollop and just try to get the thread so that you still have the ability to move it. I don't know if that's right, but so maybe you guys can tell me in the comments or through your questions later. But a stabilizing little drop of glue never hurt anybody. Oh, and I also wanted to show you that, like, I just think beading is so cool because there's so many different ways to do it. And there's different ways to learn it, you know, so I just kind of wrote this out. If I can hold it steady enough for you, you know, people learn in such different ways that, you know, some people, I'm a very visual learner. So I just like to look at it, you know, figure out the design from there. Some people like to, you know, read about it. So I kind of, the first row is really simple. It's just going to be 2 of your first color alternating with 2 of your second color. The second color will be the color of the flower. And then the first color will be the color of the background. So I counted, there's in the bigger hoop, there's 42 beads. So I know when to stop. And then this will be the pattern for the first row, which Rochelle was kind enough to tell me is called brick stitch framing. So that's what we'll do for the first row. So anyway, and then this is, if you like numbers, you can write it out in numbers, like, and I used colored pencils, like, okay, I do 2 of, use just a regular pencil for like a white or cream, because you can't see it. So 2 of the pink followed by 2 of the cream all the way until you're done. So let's start that. The only thing that's going to be different is the first bead. So you take that all the way down. Okay. Or I'll say I'll take it. I take it all the way down. This is how I found that it works for me. And then I thread this in. Oh, sorry guys, I'm trying not to show you how nervous I am, but like, it's hard to bead when you're nervous. You thread that end through and then you pull it tight. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have showed you, but you just get that bead really up close next to that double knot that we did. All right, now we're doing 2 pinks. So this is gonna be our first pink. And here is the framing stitch. So this is how I do it. I've seen other people do it different ways. So if you have something that works, then just go ahead and do it that way. But I like to go with my needle underneath. So I already have my second bead on my thread. I take my needle and I put it underneath, and then I kind of hold the hoop, pull. And the first one is always the trickiest. You really have to make sure that they're behaving themselves. So now I have the thread pulled through and the needle up top, and I just go back through kind of what would be the top of the bead and pull that through while I hold on to that first one, because that one isn't really anchored quite yet. So then you pull it tight. Okay, so if everyone can see that. And then we're just gonna repeat that. I don't know about you guys, but tension and, you know, pulling tight, but not too tight, but not too loose. That's just kind of something that comes with time. And I think everybody kind of figures it out for themselves. I'm definitely like a tighter weave kind of a gal. All right, so let's do our second white. Oh, you know what? On the next one, I will describe again how that stitch goes. this is nice for those visual learners and those people who like it in words. Okay, so I kind of flip the hoop up, put the needle underneath, pull it. I'm kind of pushed down on the earring so it catches the bead. Then I go up back through the top and then I pull. So I'll just do a handful more of those. And something that I've found is that if I don't keep these really tight and close to each other, as you bead out, they'll want to kind of spread apart. Like I can show you in this last row, you can see how the beads get maybe, oh, it's a little too close. They get just a little bit further apart from each other. I don't know about you guys, but I am type A. So I like it to be as tight as possible as it can be to start, because I know that it's going to want to pull as you get those, as you get further up. So I use this brick stitch framing technique on quite a few of my earrings. I love a big solid earring that is, you know, mostly just beading with maybe a, what are these called? Maybe one of these little guys, but like, you know, no metal, just all beads. Those are great and so fun. But I have found that a lot of people who buy my stuff love metal components. So they love a hoop, or they love a small little open not open, but hollow, kind of like a hoop triangle. So what I will do is I will brick stitch the first row onto that. And then I will set just like fringe coming off of that. I can show you an example of that too. Oh, see, now I'm too busy talking. I need to get back to cream. Finish that little guy. But this is an example of something like that. I just recently, somebody gave me a whole bunch of these pins, and I thought, well, wouldn't that be cool to just, you know, there's a lot of people who don't want to wear earrings, which is totally fine. I get that. So I thought, well, like, why not a little brooch pin? But the first row, if you look closely, is just this brick stitch framing that I'm doing right now. And then I just do the fringe through there. And this, I didn't even count anything out. It was just totally random. I was telling Rochelle, I don't have a true like style yet, I guess I would say. Sometimes I do, like, this collection was super soft and floral and delicate, these pinks. And the one that I'm working on now is totally different. It's like weird abstract shapes. It's black and white. I think I have a little bit of green popping through. I did not realize how much I like green until I started beading, because I always seem to find a way to get green in my pieces somewhere. So green has made an appearance in my next black and white collection, which is not even very summery. So I'm not really sure where my head was at there, but regardless, that's what it's gonna be. So that's kind of the first row. And I did go ahead and finish up the first row so that I could show you guys also how to do the second and third rows. They're exactly the same except for the pattern. So here I am. This is 30 beads. So on the 35 millimeter hoop, 30 beads I thought looked nice. But again, this is something that you can decide if you wanted to go up further, make it bigger. As you do get more around the circle, the beads will pull again on those later rows. But now it's just a simple brick stitch. So I'm going to show you what the next row looks like kind of written out. So row 2 is 41 beads on that bigger one, or it will be 29 beads on the smaller. And then this is the pattern kind of with the colors. So it's going to be the background, the flower, the center, the flower, the background, and then that repeats all the way until you're done. So you can write that out in numbers too. I don't know if anyone else does this or how you're, I've never really followed a pattern. So maybe this is what patterns look like, but this is kind of how I've sorted it out for myself. So yeah, this is just a simple brick stitch, and following the pattern, we're going to do one pink. Oh, this is hard to do when I don't, I guess I hold it close to me. I didn't realize that. Okay, I should not assume that you guys know the brick stitch. Sorry, I did not explain that. Let's explain it here with the white. So you take one bead, you put it underneath. Oh my goodness, okay. Put it underneath. If you can see that, let me get really closer. Put it underneath that one little strand and pull through. And then you go up and through. I love the brick stitch. That is the first thing I ever attempted to do. I didn't even learn it. I just thought, no, I did. Maybe I watched YouTube, I think. Okay, so again, let me not block this completely. Your needle goes right underneath that kind of looped bridge. There's a little bridge of thread in between the two beads. You go underneath, pull all the way through, and then go back up through the bottom. And then you pull tight. Brick stitch. And you can see our first little baby flower is coming together. Maybe not quite yet, but so underneath the bridge of thread, pull through and back up through the bottom of the bead. All right, and then with this design, we just need the one corally pink in between each.
Julie, hi, this is Maggie. I've got a
Hi.
question for you from
Awesome.
Gail Erickson on Facebook.
Great.
And she wants you to share with us what beads and thread you're using and how you decided on the ones that you are now using.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Please feel free to ask any clarifying questions. First time. I love IGOs. Rochelle knows that I love IGOs because I call her way too often to send me more. I started, so this is kind of a funny, well, let me just tell you right away. So these are 11, size 11 IGOs, and I use Nymo D thread. On accident, I think I bought B one time. Oh, whoa, sorry about that. Was that a weird color for you guys for a minute there? I bought Nymo B as in boy one time, and I thought, why does this feel weird? And then my project broke like halfway through because, like I said, I like to pull really tight all the time. And so I just totally busted through the thread. So that one must be thinner. Rochelle can correct me if that's not correct, but I love D. And you know, I used to use a thread conditioner. I don't know what you guys think about this, but for something like this, a thread conditioner would be fine, I think. But when I use a thread conditioner on my dangly, you know, like the ones that I'm wearing in my ears with a lot of fringe, when I pull through with that, I don't know, after a while, they get stiff. I feel like the fringe in particular kind of like loses its flow and its beautiful movement. So I stopped using thread conditioner, which is a pain because my thread knots all the time. But I just love the end product so much better that I do it. I do it for the love of the end product. So I started beading with, oh my, I don't even remember what they're called. They're bigger and they're not flat on the sides. So they did not, with my type A-ness, they didn't line up just so perfectly like the Icos do. So once I found these, I was hooked, and that is really, oh gosh, probably what I use 99% of the time. But I love other people using other stuff. I bought a pair of earrings from another beader on Instagram. Oh, just beautiful. But I was so shocked when I got them because her beads are teeny, tiny, just as small probably as these, but they are rounder and flatter. And they just feel so different, and I love it. I just assumed that she used Icos like me, but apparently there are others. I'm just not willing to go there yet. All right, so we're getting close to the end. Does anyone else have any other questions? I could talk at you guys all day though. I mean, we're all starved for interaction.
So how much thread do you normally need to make a pair of earring or each earring?
You know, that's such a good question. And it totally depends on the earring that you're making. So like these require such little amount of thread. I'm terrible, Rochelle, because I measure in my arm lengths. You know, I'll just pull the thread with my arm. But I'm teeny tiny short, so that's probably going to be super different. But I did, you know what? I did think to bring a measuring. So for me, when I do something like this, it's just one arm length pull. But yeah, I can measure that later.
Well, one arm length is an actual proper measurement, or 2 arm lengths. In the beading world, it is actually 100% accurate. So please,
my gosh,
keep referring to that, because that's the controlling of the thread. If it's too long, you're going to trash your thread, because pulling is just too much thread anyway. So that's why it's a proper arm length for each person, and that will then correspond to that person.
I love that so much. I had no idea. That is fabulous. I'm so glad that that's a thing in real beading. Yeah, but you know what? I'm so bad. I hate adding thread. Does anyone else hate adding thread? Also, when I add thread, so like when I made the earrings that I'm wearing, I pull 3 arm lengths for that because I know that's how much it's going to need. And I will just work my way through all of my knots and frustration because I don't know. I don't like, especially in a fringe earring, I don't like stopping in the middle because I feel like you have to pull tighter to stop, you know, to like weave the ends in. So then I feel like some of the fringe is a little bit wonky. So I think that's
Have you ever started in the middle of your thread, and that way you're only the
Oh,
first
yeah.
half and then use the second half
absolutely.
for the second
Yes.
layer?
I will double that up really well. Okay, so I'm at my last little second row bead right here. So one more chance. I'm going to try, oh my gosh, try hard to show again the bridge that you go under, pull through, and then up from the bottom. And then this is a little bit wonky because it's got that starter thread too, but you just pull tight. And then the last row of this really simple, cute earring is another brick stitch row. And again, if we look.
Could you repeat the sequence for the second row? So we've got
Absolutely, yes.
Row is what?
So this is the sequence for the second row. It's your background color, your flower color, your center color. So in the design I'm doing, it's pink, white, green, white, pink. That's kind of the base that repeats. But there's only one pink in between.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's where it gets a little hairy. But then the last row goes back to being really simple because we're just finishing off the flowers. So it's just going to be the background color, the pink, and then the floral color, the cream or white in my example. But the way that the beads end up, this start and end is just going to be one. So you have one pink followed by alternating 2 cream, 2 pink, 2 cream, 2 pink, repeating until you get to the very end. And then the end is going to just be the one singular pink. And that's just the way that the numbers worked out for this pattern. So if you kept that first and second row really tight, the third row will be as tight as it can be. We'll see now. I'm going to have to work out a knot.
Rochelle, Robin Simon Seeley on Facebook wants to know if Bobby Bead carries these hoops.
We have a couple. We have a 1-inch size and a 1 3/4 inch size that are they're a round hoop, but then you have to turn the top. Like one side will make a 90-degree angle and then you can make the loop at the top to secure them together. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're using or not, Julie, but that's the style we have here. Or you could create yours. What I'm doing here is I just used the 20 gauge rose gold wire that we have, the non-tarnished wire. And then I am making my own loop that I'm doing from that. And then I'll just use my non-tarnished wire. So
that's a great idea. These hoops are pricey, especially when you do them in sterling silver. So I'm sure you could get a better deal if you can manipulate, you know, just cut the metal and then manipulate it yourself. That's probably the cheaper, more economical way to go. So the last row, same as the second row, you're just finding that little thread bridge, pulling through and then up through the bottom. So there's going to be the one background color, pink in this case. And then you can kind of, like, I'm visual, so I can just see, oh yeah, I'm going to put 2 of the white and then 2 of the pink. That's what's going to complete that little daisy. Pull tight. Can't remember where I got these hoops. I don't know that stuff. All of my supplies, I think they just breed in the night because all of a sudden I just am overrun with hoops and components and beads. Oh man, the beads. So fun. I have kind of a funny story as we go through this last row. I have only been beading for about 2 years. So this is not, I am not a seasoned expert at all, although I have probably done it every single day for the past 2 years. So I got hooked immediately, and it has stuck around. But my friend that I met through preschool, we were both preschool moms, lugging all of our kids through preschool. We both had little babies on our hips and 3-year-olds going to preschool. But anyway, we became friends. And she was making her own lace one day. She was waiting for school to let out and was making her own lace. And oh my gosh, how amazing is that? She suggested that we take a looming class together. And I thought, oh, how fun would that be? Maybe I'll make myself a little mat. We bonded over our love of art. She's an artist. She has a degree in art, but I call myself a serious crafter at this point. But she is the real deal, like super talented. So I said, absolutely, let's go down, get away from the kids for a little bit. This was pre-COVID. Spend an afternoon learning something new. So we fully thought this was going to be like fabric looming, and it ended up being bead looming. So we just went with it. We were both like, oh, we had no idea. Within a week of taking that class, we were both surrounded in beads. We had both bought ourselves a bead loom, and the rest is history. Although there's something, again, there's just something about starting and finishing a project. And I could not, for the life of me, master the finishing on a loom bracelet. So maybe that's something you guys can teach me if we've got like huge loom beaters out there. But you have this beautiful, like nice row of bead, the bracelet. And then the end, for some reason, was always just so tricky for me. And then it ended up looking weird and it didn't work very well. So I thought, well, there's got to be another way. And then I just kind of started adventuring on YouTube. I started visiting bead shops. Unfortunately, I live in Sheboygan. We had a bead shop for years and years. And I've been here about 6 years. And it closed before I got into beading. So I don't even have a bead store in my town, but my parents do. So when we go down to visit them, I always find a way to sneak out to the bead shops. There's always something new and exciting to find. Rochelle, I'm going to have to take a pilgrimage out to Minnesota. I still want to come see you guys in that amazing store.
Well, we are open. Whoa, sorry.
That's okay. Are you still open on Sundays?
Yeah, let me see. We're open on Sundays from 11 to 5. And then we have, hopefully by the end of May, we'll also be able to be open on Saturdays too, from 11 to 5. So that's our plan. We're getting there.
Yay.
We all have our first vaccines. We'll all have our second one by then. So that way we'll be able to be here for you on both weekend days, Saturday and
Oh, how fun. I love that. I just got my second dose, and man, did I go down like a brick with that second dose. Super tired, but then I popped right back up the next day. So that was good. All right. So again, we're doing the 2 coral, 2 cream, 2 coral, 2 cream on repeat. I'm getting really close to the end. You can see that adorable daisy. Let's finish this one off. This cream, and then the ending that you'll run out of stitches, so we'll just add the last coral stitch, and then I'll show you how to finish off. This I don't think there's any right or wrong way to finish. I just kind of weave it back in. I like, you can see here how this is, the very edge here is kind of pulling. So I like to take a look at the earring and see if any spot needs me to kind of go back in and pull it up tight. But I just weave around. I like to go back and forth. I want to go up through the very last row because that's the one that's looking a little bit wonky. So sometimes you kind of have to plan, okay, if I go through this one, then I can go back through that one. Oh, so not in the camera. I'm sorry, guys. Pulling through. All right, and then I feel like that's pretty secure. I've been back and forth on that end several times. So then I just pull tight and snip. Do the exact same thing. You just weave this tail back in and you are done. So it's nice because it's cute. It's simple, it's classy, but it's also really fast. Like this is not gonna take you all day long. So that's what I have for you guys. Again, thank you so much for spending time with me and listening. Again, it's been such a pleasure and a total shock and honor. So any other questions or?
So on the ends, do you just weave it in, and so it's just got the three, you want to show the close-up of the whole thing again, and then how do you, yeah, those are the kind of the hoops we have. We just don't have them in sterling silver. So how do you finish the top of your hoops to put them on a string?
Yeah, my hoops come like this.
And so that one size goes vertically 90 degrees into the other side, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah, let me see.
So then you can just put it through your ear that way.
Yep, you just kind of have to wiggle that vertical portion through. And then when you're making hoops, you want to leave, you know, a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch open at the top so people can put them. This is where the ear will be, right here. Right here.
And so, have you done a 4th or 5th row, like a double daisy, or
you know,
like
I said at the beginning, you certainly could. I mean, you could brick stitch to the cows come home on this, but it gets wonky. Do you know what I mean? Like it'll get wavy. Mm-hmm. So when you wear it, you know, the further out you go from this delicate hoop, maybe if you had something thicker, you know, if you weren't beading onto such a delicate little hoop, it would be sturdier. But I've really found that I like 3 rows. Mm-hmm. But you guys can try it. I don't know. Try the double row. I think it gets too warped if you go beyond 3, but that's just my opinion. You might like that look. You know, like you can see a little bit of what I'm talking about with the bugle bead because it's a little bit bigger. That 3rd row is going to pull. See, okay, so these are smaller little real gold beads. I splurged one day. I was bad. And I bought myself real gold beads, but they get further and further apart as you go. Mm-hmm. So then it just gets harder to keep like a really nice, tight, cohesive design. But if you were doing something just really abstract like this, I think it'd be fine. Mm-hmm. But see how it can warp. Yeah. And, you know, so you want to try to keep it.
It just pops into place.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then when you're picking out your thread color, what are you trying to match? The outside of the bead or the metal, or what's your theory on?
Okay. this is such a good question. And I was when I first started, I thought you have got to match the bead. You know, if you're using coral, you have to use like a pinkish thread. What I found is the best. You definitely do have to consider what your colors are, but I think it's best to match to the color of the metal, because that's where you're really going to see, like here, I'm using all of these wild colors, but you do not see the thread. Like if I would have used black thread, that would have really shown up on this silver metal, but I used a grayish cream thread. And so you don't even see it. So I would, you know, fight over this one, that you should match your thread color to the metal that you're using.
Okay. That's a really good advice.
Yeah. I've found that, I mean, sometimes I feel like people love to make that thread color like another element. So maybe they want the black to pop of the thread. And if you're going for that, then cool. And, you know, do something that really offsets. But I'm more in the camp of like the thread should just kind of be invisible. So
that's super good to know.
I think I showed you everything I wanted to show you. Again, yeah, I'm on Instagram. So
what is your Instagram account so that people can find you and see what else you're making?
Yeah, stay tuned. I don't know. I've been slow as molasses on this next release. But I'm Jules and Leo. So if you go on Instagram, you'll have to write out. I thought this looked so cute to have a plus sign. So I put that in my little logo. But if you'll have to write out and A-N-D into Instagram to find me. But that's where I'll be.
Wonderful. That's super to
you'll see lots of beads and then lots of my kids too. There's when you're a mom of 3 and they're all little ones, you gotta share the cuteness also. So
absolutely. Well, Marsha wants to know that she thinks you did a great job at the kids project. God. Very well explained. I really like the pink. So the top of those pink ones, that's brick stitch decreasing, and then you fringed off of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You mean the
ones and or the pin?
Yes. Yeah. So this is just this is decreasing brick stitch in that just typical triangle with. I love a fringe. And do you see how after I stopped using the thread conditioner, I love the movement. Mm-hmm. I gotta have all the flow.
Right on. And so I'm so glad. And so those are also Ico beads, right?
Yes, these are. And then these are some of the bugles that I got from you last time. I love this. What is this color? I don't even know.
The creamy one or the brassy, bronzy
one?
The
brassy, kind of like, what is that? Ochre? Would you call that ochre? I don't know.
It's number 221 or 223. It's one of the bronzies.
Yeah, these are all Icos and then a 9mm bugle.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's
I don't know.
Fun mix.
Kind of a cool thing. You know, I think I do. Rochelle, let me see if I can be tech savvy here.
And so
I made another pin. Can you guys see that up on the screen?
Oh, sure can.
Yeah, so this is another brooch pin that I made. See, do you see what I mean when I am like, my design is floral and delicate and dainty and then just totally wild, completely abstract. But this one is all square stitch. So it took me forever. But it was so fun. And this is one of the metal pieces that I like to incorporate a lot. So I thought that was kind of a fun thing for people.
Super fun.
Yeah.
We like your colors. And so
thank you.
It's happy for spring. And so we're all looking forward. The flowers are all just blooming here. And so spring in Wisconsin is also blooming now.
It is. We live right on Lake Michigan, so we always get the latest spring. We're always a couple weeks behind everyone else, but I'll take it because the lake is beautiful.
Super.
Yes.
Right on. Well,
Julie?
Thank you so much.
Julie, we had one last comment from Facebook. Someone says, good combo of bugles with icos.
Thank
So
you.
somebody
I
really
was
loved your design.
feeling wild that day. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And so Hannah Rosner is coming up next. Are you hanging out beading with us, Hannah? Or are you almost ready? I know
I am. Hi, how are you? So if you, I have 2 screens up and I'll be doing some Fast Peyote Stitch. And the screen that maybe is larger, I hope it's larger right now, is where I'm going to be working. But if you can find the screen with me, hi, then I'm going to actually screen share on that one the directions for Fast Peyote Stitch. But I think I also submitted it on over to the Upper Midwest Bead Society, and they can send it out directly to anybody who wants the directions. So Fast Peyote Stitch is, nothing is really fast in beading, but it does 2 rows at the same time. And I thought everybody sort of knew what it was until one day I was talking, were we on the phone, Marcia, or this is a while ago. We were on the phone, I think, talking about a project we were doing together. And she said she didn't know how to do it. And so I sent her a little, did we get on the phone? I can't remember. It was a long time ago, Marcia. Did I send you a document or did we just get on the phone? Do you remember? Marcia may not be there right now, but anyway, what it does is, once again, it does 2 rows at the same time. And I guess we'll just get into it. I usually start with just regular peyote stitch for a couple of rows. Can anybody tell me if my my internet's working for you guys? I've been having trouble with it. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, see you.
Yes.
Hannah,
Okay.
you're good. And now I'm audio too. So
Oh, super. Why don't can you tell the story of like, do you remember the whole story
yes,
of
me
why
panicking, trying to finish. Sorry, me panicking, trying to finish a wide hat band around a hat that was all peyote stitch. And I thought, there's no way I'm ever going to get done with this. And so of course I complained to Hannah and she said, well, you just need fast peyote. And lo and behold, I can't remember by how much. I don't think it quite doubled my speed, but came really close to it. So it's a totally useful, wonderful approach to doing peyote faster, especially on a wide band.
Right. Now I'm not doing a wide band here. I'm doing a real thin one so you can see it quickly. But yes, I love it. And what I'm using here is size 8s. I believe you were you using Treasures or Icos?
Icos.
I think Icos, yeah. So anyway, regular peyote stitch, of course, is you add a bead and you go through a bead. And you add a bead and go through a bead. And I started with 6 here. So each row, of course, is 3. So that's just regular peyote. Right? However, with fast peyote, what you're going to do is you're going to add all of the beads. I'm going to see if I can do this down. I usually do way up close to me, but let's see if I can do this. I'm going to add all the beads for 2 rows at one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Oh, I've forgotten. I was going to go ahead and screen share. So let me take a minute. So I put those down right next to them. There it is. And let me go ahead and screen share that so that you can see over here. Hold on. So once again, what you do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to do all of the beads for the two rows, which is right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to start to weave them in a little bit. Let's pull that down. So the first bead, I'm going to go through the 10, the number 10 bead right there, and then up into the second bead that I've added. So this one just hangs out above. Then I go into the second one, and I go into bead number 11. And this bead, which is one I just added, just hangs out above. I'm going to show you this first on here, and then I'll show you in real life. So go into bead number, this bead, and then go into bead number 12, and then go into the last of the beads, and it'll hook it down below the down below into the body of the bead work. The problem with fast peyote stitches is you actually have extra thread through the fast peyote stitch. So if you make a mistake, for instance, if you have 300 beads in that row and you add 301, picking it out is really, really a problem. So I generally, if I have too many, then I just break that extra bead. But if I've got too few, you have to pick the whole row out, and it's really, really rough. Of course, on the other hand, it also means that it's a much stronger piece of fabric. So let me take this away, and maybe I can go ahead and go back to the original one where I'm showing it. So hang on, I'm having trouble figuring out how to not share this screen. Oh, there, stop share. There we go. Okay, so hopefully we'll now go back to this as the main screen. So can you see that there? Is that the main screen now?
Yep, you got it.
Yes, okay. So I've got my regular peyote stitch, which I'm gonna now try to get underneath the camera. And I've got my 6 beads, right? I'm actually gonna go into this bead down at the bottom and pull through. So you can see it's, oh, went through the wrong one because I'm, hold on guys. There we go. Yeah, went through the one. So there it is. So you can see it hanging out right next to it, right? I go up and catch the second bead and go through that one. I go straight up, catch this bead. Oop, I'm off camera. Go through that one. And now I'm gonna go straight up and through the last of the beads. So there it is. Let me show you that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this time I'm gonna try to do it without moving off camera. So I'm gonna go through that first bead, and it snugs the beads up in a loop right next to it. I go straight up, and through that first bead and snug it in. Go straight up, catch this bead and snug it in, and then go through the last bead. See what I'm doing there? So I also can do patterns with this. So you can see can you see this piece that I was working on up until the fact that this was going to be a winterscape. And I'll show you the whole pattern here. There's the whole sort of pattern. It's this winterscape with a tree. It's hard to see in this blown out version. And I was really digging it until about, oh, I don't know, January. And then I wasn't digging it anymore. And now the lilacs are in bloom here. Oh, I'm in Oregon. I was a Minnesota native for any of you guys who I haven't met before. I was a Minnesota native, and now I live out in Oregon. And we've had lovely weather for just long enough that I think I've been getting on Rochelle's nerves. But I do patterns with Fast Peyote as well. And let's see if I can show you that as well. I've got this pattern that I've drawn here. Just a really easy one. So, hang on. Oh. And when you do a regular pattern with a graph, obviously you just go ahead and you just read the 3 that are right there. But when you're doing it with Fast Peyote, you actually do 2 at a time, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read these 2. If I was just doing regular peyote, once again, I'd be reading the green and the white and the bronze. But I'm going to go ahead and do 2. So I'm going to be reading the green and the bronze and the white and the green and the bronze and the white. Could you see it there? And I snug it up right next to it. There it is. Am I in the right place? No, of course not. There we go. And now I just go ahead and hook it in once again. Working around my phone here. I'm still not used to this. I know that a lot of you guys have been doing a lot of online stuff, but am I in the right place? Oh, yes. Okay. There we go. So go ahead and hook it in. So there it is. So then again, I move up. There we go. And once again, it's green, bronze, and white. Green, bronze, and white. And then I just hook it in. So I always, this bead right here, whoops, boy, I keep doing that. This bead right here is gonna hang out right above that bead. So I'm just gonna ignore it. This bead right here, this bronze bead wants to drop down in between that bronze and the green, or the white and the green. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hook it in and stitch it in place. Oops, sorry about that. So this green bead right here wants to hang out right above the green bead, so I'm gonna ignore it. The white one wants to drop in, so I'm gonna grab it and then just hook it in place. And then I go through the last green bead. There we go. And there it is. That's all there is to Fast Peyote, guys. Of course, it gets a little more complex when you end up with a bead chart that has 35 beads across and you're working with ICOs, size 11 ICOs, instead of with the size 8s. But I really just do it the same way. I'll just go ahead and read through it and then double check it. I do fast peyote pretty much for everything that I do. You can see a piece here that I've done that is tubes of peyote stitch stitched around a straw. And I'm actually redoing this one in golds and silvers. It's still in process, you can see. So I'm doing it this way and then stitching it around the straw, but it's done exactly the same way. And that's all I have for you today.
So is this only work with even count peyote, or what's the difference when you're doing the odd count peyote?
It is only even count, yes. It is only even count. Because with odd count, you don't end up with the right areas to hook things in. Great question.
Sorry, I'm like I was like, wait a minute.
Yep. Yeah, it's only with even.
And can you do it with tubular peyote?
Well, when I do it flat. And you probably could do it tubular peyote. I haven't tried it. I do it flat and then hook it around something. So this tube was done flat and then hooked around a straw and zipped together.
And so is there a point where there are too many beads is too many, or?
Well, I've done, you know, this one has, I think this one has 35 across. And you know, I managed that just fine. That one's, you know, of course, as soon as it's, you know, it looks huge there, but as soon as, here's where it is, you know, it's probably what, an inch, and I don't have yeah, this one's probably an inch and a half wide. You know, it's just a matter of just counting the beads, you know, correctly. I've done up to 2-inch wide pieces this way, but I've never tried anything more than that, just because I haven't. as soon as I get into wider stuff, I have a tendency to go with bead embroidery because I really enjoy that. But I don't think so. I think you would just have to make sure that you go ahead and double count. I don't think there's any difference in how long or how wide it is. It's just a matter of, you know, counting up into the however many beads. Oh, I'm using 1G here. And my friend Kim gave me this gigantic spool of it that I've been working off of. So that's what I'm working on. I like the 1G. It for me, it doesn't tangle as much as the Nymo. And I have a ton of it, so I'm dedicated to using it now. And I'm only using Tohos because that's what I do.
And so what happens if you spike your thread?
I'm sorry, what?
If you spike your thread or something, or get a little knot or something, do you have any? Well, normally backing up is easy in peyote, but then if you're looping and whatnot,
I mean, you know, most knots that you can get, if you stop and you pull them, most of them can come out with the 1G. The thing is that if you end up with a thread and a knot here in the middle, I have a tendency to just go ahead and sort of pull back and pick it out. I haven't really had a problem with it getting really, really bad because I've got the thread, the beads on this thread here, and I put them straight down and then just go through and go one at a time. So I don't tend to end up with a really big problem with that, but I also don't tend to use more than one arm length when I'm working, because I know that if I use more than that, I will start to get a thread that's sort of shredding and get into problems with it. So for me, I would rather not have to go back and deal with any issues, and instead I personally would rather go ahead and weave in and weave out. My friend who I was talking about earlier, who actually does regular peyote stitch faster than fast peyote stitch, she will work with about 6 arm lengths of thread and never manages to get knots. And I know that if I did that, then I would just be sunk. So I think for me, it's a matter of working with shorter thread. So
It was. So if you're creating a pattern like from scratch and you're just working it out, do you do fast peyote for that too? Or is this only work for pre-established patterns that you've worked?
Well, I tend to not really work on the fly when it comes to even count flat peyote. So I've never really tried it with designing as you go. That's not something that I have tried. My brain doesn't think that way. I'd rather go ahead and make myself a graph and then be able to follow it. Not to say that if I don't make a mistake, like right here in the middle, I don't just go with it and say it's fine.
Right.
Because there's so much going on in a lot of these graphs. So, but.
And so, no, I think this would
So anyway, yeah, that's
a
all
lot.
I got for you. What's that?
I think this would speed up your work a lot. But are you really going the same amount of times through the beads? So is it just as strong, or you're going through more so it's stronger? Or
it's actually more. It's more because see, you've gotten, let me do another row here. We'll just use white. So when you do regular peyote stitch, you just go through once per row.
Oh, you're off camera.
Yeah, I'm just picking up beads right now.
Oh, sorry.
So it's okay. But I've got a thread going through right there. You see it? Let me get me on camera. I do. See, I've got a thread going through. And then I also, every other bead, I've gone through a second time. You see there, that one, this bead right here, am I on camera?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bead right here, I've already gone through it once, and now I'm going through it again in order to hook it in. So it's actually stronger for me, which is great. For my previous work, a lot of what I did for these patterns was for shows. You know, I would create the pattern and people would buy the pattern and then they would redo it, you know, or I'd buy and do kits. And the fact that there were multiple layers going through here meant that the sample was an awful lot stronger. It's a little stiffer, especially if you are using Fireline instead of 1G, which I do use actually a lot on my samples, but it's stronger because you're going through the beads more often. And that's really important with a sample that you're going to put out for a show for a bunch of people to pick up and try on, play with, and enjoy.
So, but you always loop from the outside and come in to the inside.
I do.
Connecting.
Yeah. So, right. And Marcia, you're right. I do. I come up across, and it does help keep the tangles away. And so Marcia said that she sees that I pull my thread back into the ditch between threads. So she's right. What I do is I come up here. Am I underneath? Yes. And then I come up in the ditch between those beads, and that help and really snug it in place and then I go ahead and stitch it down. Now I'm doing this really slowly because I'm under the camera and I'm sort of looking around it. But once again, I go up in the ditch there, and it really does help keep those tangles.
Yeah, that's just super fast. I mean, I've created, you know, an inch strand here already just while we were chit-chatting. This is super fast.
Right. It's easier to do when you don't have a camera between you and trying to figure out.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Isn't that fun? So anyway, okay, so here I'm, just in case, this is one of my favorite colors. I love this. This is the PF 587F, which is one of the matte metallic colors that Rochelle sent to me a while back to try out. And I just love it. I love the luminosity of this color. So it's that, and I'm using a white Ceylon here. There it is. And then I'm using, what is this? This is 221 bronze. So those are the colors that I chose for this little demo, just because I like them. And I thought that they stood out and you maybe be able to see what I was doing. I'm using size 8s in this because clearly it's a little bit easier to see than the size 11s, because I wanted you guys to see what I was doing. And that's all I got.
Where can people find more of what you're doing, Hannah?
I am on Etsy. I am at hannarosnerdesigns.etsy.com. And I think later on you'll be able to see my my new Toho challenge over at Bobby Beads whenever I finish.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. And because I know your hat has created quite a stir this year.
Here's the preview.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see that.
And so we're super excited to the 2021 challenge palette. How did you feel about it? Did you enjoy working with those colors?
I loved it. I loved it.
Oh, there you go. Ooh. Holy moly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved it.
Is it a shirt, a jacket? What is it? It's a surprise.
Well, here, if you look up on the screen that shows me, I'll show you. It's not finished yet. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, totally. Wow.
Everything's your fault. You're the one who did the
for
the Battle of the Beadsmith. I didn't make my own jacket. Marcia did a jacket for Battle of the Beadsmith, and she made her own jacket. I'm just embellishing one. So anyway, there it is.
That's beautiful. Well, I have a mannequin to display it on here, so.
Well, cool. I can't wait to be done with it. It's just keeps on growing. I keep on adding things to it. And then I think, oh, I'm gonna be done soon. And then I add something else.
No, so. That's how the artist life works, right? Constant inspiration.
Right. All right. So that's all I have for you guys today.
All right. Well, I am very excited to show you then what we are doing. I'm going to screen share for just a moment. The pattern, it's called Tri-Demi RAW because we use 3 different sizes of Toho demi beads. And we use a size 6 demi, an 8 demi, and an 11 demi. And I'm not sure if everyone knows exactly what demi beads are. So I'll quickly just, it's a Toho round bead. So if you take a normal 11-aught or 8 round or 6 round and cut it in half across the donut side, then what you get is the skinny little wafer spacer bead. And they're the same diameter and hole size as its friend, the 11-0 and 8-0 and 6-0. It's just half as tall. So anything you've done with a normal round bead, you can do with a demi bead. It just looks usually completely different because it's so skinny. Some of the stitches that you might do, like a peyote stitch, they would be really skinny together, and it'd be really tight. Since we're doing right angle weave with the demis, then they get really more loose and open. And so a normal right angle weave, sorry, this is silver. I suppose I should use a darker color. When you use a, here you go, maybe that'll work. When you do a normal right angle weave with a bead, they're at north and south, east and west. So what we're going to do with them is the same 4 beads together, but we're going to hook them on their axis. So what we're almost creating here is an X and an O pattern, is what this version is sometimes called. And I will screen share the pattern one moment with you here. There we go, come on. There we go. So is it appearing on your side yet?
Not yet, it'll be in a minute.
There we go. Okay. So what we're doing is we are taking 4 6-0 demi beads and we'll string them on, I usually use a bead right off of my bobbin. And so if you use an arm length of thread right from your bobbin, and then we'll pull off of our bobbin an extra 2 feet or so if we need it. Or else take 6 feet of thread, wrap 2 feet around something, and only use your 1 arm of thread, okay? And so we are going to put 4 beads on, and there's no knots in this pattern. So you'll slide them down to your bobbin, or you could use a stopper bead, which would give you a little bit of a break. And then you'll swoop around, pass through them all again, so that all 4 will sit at their 90-degree angles, just like they would. And then if you want to tie 1 single knot, you could tie 1 knot right here if you wanted to have absolute tension. Otherwise, just hold it tight with your stopper bead. And then you're going to want to move forward through the first 6-0 bead past your tail. So your tail will be on your left side, and then you'll be always working on the first one. We're going to just go to the right because that's how we do it. So the first 4 6-0 beads will form an X. And then what you're going to do is come around and pass through. And since the demis are so skinny, you have a lot of space in between here. So we are going to fill in the blank with an 11-0 demi, an 8-0 demi, an 11-0 demi, and then we'll pass through the next 6-0 bead. And then you'll do the same thing around the whole circle. So then you'll add an 11 demi, 8 demi, 11 demi, pass through the next 6-0 demi. These green ones here are the 6s. So in between each one, we have the 3 little demis, and then you go all the way around, and you want to exit directly out of the 11 demi across from your tail thread. So I'm going to pick up my tail thread or my beads here and show you as well. But then after that, it gets really repetitive. And so I'm hoping that you all like repetitiveness, because that's the way this stitch gets. So after you do the first thing, you're going to repeat step 1 again. We add 4 6/0 demi beads and pass through them all again, just those 4. You're not connecting them yet. And then we're actually going to connect together by using the 3 demis in between. So once we pass around, we will connect through the 3 demis. So that is your first 3. And then we pass through the first 6. And then we're going to add 1 2 3 demis again. And we'll go all the way around the circle and keep going and going and going and make this really cool chain. And so let's stop this and pick up our beads and get to beading here. So this is what the chain totally looks like in real life person. The matte gold is the size 6. And then I have a tiny little dark brown 11. And then I have a shiny gold 8/0 demi right in the middle there. And so it's pretty darn fun, quick and easy. So once again, I'm beading right off of my bobbin, and I'm using the Toho 1G thread, and I'm matching my thread color to my accent bead. Today I'm using a gray and purple and silver. And so it's kind of really fun here to have different sizes. These are the 6/0 demi beads. So I have a matte gray, I have a shiny silver, and I have a dark purple. That way you can create some contrast and difference with your demis. In the size 6 or 8 and 11 demis, I have the same 3 colors. I have the purple, I have a shiny silver, and then in the 11, I have the matte demi. So that way, if you have contrast between your 6 and your 8 and your 11, then you're going to get your best result. The dark green, that's my size 6. And then the teeny tiny little one, 11/0, that's a shiny gold. And then the one in the middle is a matte gold. So a little bit of contrast, you're going to get much better. So we're going to start here with the 4 6 demis. And like I said, just pull them down your thread. And I wrap them around my finger and hold my thread behind my first finger with my middle finger so that it's always taut, so I don't trap and catch my thread. And then I pull my thread and pinch them with my finger. So this is the very first step. And then we're going to pass through, and I usually pass through the first 2 because I'm not going to tie a knot. But if you want to tie a knot, you certainly can. That way your tail thread is on the left and your working thread is on the right. And we're going to go around in a circle this way. So since you can see what I'm doing now, I'm going to add a tiny little 11/0 demi and then a bright silver 11 demi or 8 demi. So I have a purple and a silver and then a purple, and then I'm going to pass through the next 6 and then pull it taut. And always just control with your finger, so that way your tail is on the left and your working thread is on the right. And then wrap around the thread your finger so that you have control and you don't splice your thread. It's the one thing you really don't want to do in this stitch. And so if you clear your playing field of other things too, it might be a good idea. Sorry, I was getting set up here for the later part. But bead control is all part of it. So we'll just re-control it and pick up our 3, our 11 demi, 8 demi, 11 demi. And then we're going to pass through our 6. I've met my tail and I'm going to pass my tail. I'm using the tail thread to hold on to. That's why I really like a tail thread. And if you have a stopper bead, you can hold on to the stopper bead. And then we're passing around. So now I'm going to pass through the first 3 set of demi that I added, so that once again, my tail thread is on the left and my working thread here is on the right. And I haven't gone through the size 6 again. I'm just exiting out the demis. So now we're on step 2. We're going to add the second X. I'm going to change colors of my 6 so you can see which one is which. So once again, you add 4 6s, slide them all the way down to meet your thread. And so if you exited out the left side of your demis, you are going to come in from the right side and head for your thread. Wherever your thread is exiting, you want to exit that same spot. So circle around and head for your thread. So I'm going to control my beads, wrap them around my finger, and go through my 3 demis. And then I'm going to also pass through the very first 6 demi in my next X. And that way, those 4 beads will sit at a perfect X to the first X. So now we just have to fill in the blank. So since I have shiny beads here, I'm going to add a little matte silver and a purple and a matte silver, just so I have a contrast to my demi there, to give a little shadow and a little depth. And we're just going to fill in the blanks all the way around. Add your 3 demis, pass through the next 6, and then control your thread in between each one. Add a little 11 demi, pass through the 6. Now we've met our first one again. So you want to pass through those 3 again, just like you did at the beginning. And then we'll pass through the first 6-0 as well. And it is reversible, so you can just flip it over if you like working in the same direction instead of switching directions. So we are going to once again exit out of the demis, the little 11-0 demi. And so now you have 2 X's and the 2 O's. So now once again, we are going to add 4 6-0 demis and keep ourselves going. I'm going to change to purple here so that you can see this is my 3rd X. And I just control those beads with my hands while I pull my thread so that it pulls them around in the little circle like it's supposed to, and it's right here on the side. So remember, I flipped my work over. So I'm always going in clockwise circles. That's the nice thing about this stitch, is it's incredibly interchangeable. And since my 1G thread is a little slippery, and I'm using a size 10 Toho needle. These beads are so large, you don't have to use a tiny little needle. But the eye on the Toho needles are quite large, so your 1G might slip out a little bit. So once again, we're going to pass through the 3 demis from the previous row, and then we'll also pass through the 6. If you don't get it in one fell swoop, don't worry about it, because controlling your piece and your thread is what's most important versus speed. So now we have our 2 filled in X's, and I have an empty one. So I have to fill in with my O's this last one. If you want to change colors again, you definitely can It's completely up to you what your pattern is that you would like to create. I just usually use the same colors in their matte form or their shiny form, and then just keep alternating them to create some contrast. And so it's super fun and quick and easy, and it creates a really sturdy bracelet. Like, because the size 6.0 beads are pretty heavy duty, it is pretty sturdy. When I pass around here, I usually go through the 6 and then the 11 demi and the 8 demi, and then I pull my thread taut. And then once again, I'll pass through the 11 and the 6 and the 8. That way it kind of makes that 8 in the center poke out just a little bit, kind of like a picot. And so then pulling it in that same circular pattern will tighten it up. And then you can pull your tail thread to tighten up the end, and you'll get a really fun little pattern here. And if you want, you can, do a really nice contrasting color. You can do a monochromatic color like the gold, or you can also make it wider. You don't have to just do one single strip. You can easily make this wide by just working to the side. And so if anybody would like to know how to make it wider, I will gladly show you. But first, how would you like to make one that looks like this? So this is the same identical pattern. All I did is all of a sudden I started filling in the blank with a 4mm pearl instead of using the little demis. I started my chain with the demis, and then I switched to the pearls and then created back to the demis. So let's show you how to do that. So we've got we came right out of our center. So we are going to add our X again. I'm going to switch back to my colors, bright silver here. And so you do it the same way. You always have to build the X first. So add 4 beads, pass through all 4 again, and then pass through the 3 demis from the previous and the first 6 of the 4 you just added. So now we are going to add some rounds, and the 4mm works really good as a spacing for the size 6 demi. So I'm adding a 4mm pearl. These are some of the new check pearls we just got in. They have really nice finishes. So all I'm doing is adding 1 pearl in between each 6.0 demi and going around the circle just like I did when I was adding just the demi spacers. It gives a little bit of texture, dimension, a fun little bubble action here. So you can fill in the blank with anything you want. The little 11.0 and 8.0 demis kind of create a pretty tight woven design. These pearls are creating a, a lot more fun design. So I'm going to add some more pearls. Why not, right? So I'm going to add a matte color. And then we do it the same exact way. I keep flipping mine over from right to left so that I'm always working in the same direction, which is working in clockwise circles. And that way I'm always pulling it to the right. And this way you just pass through the pearl and the first 6 o'day and pull it tight again. It's going to be a little longer, like it sticks out just a little bit more from that pearl. So I am matching the thread color to the pearls. I'm using a purple thread, and that's what color this dark metallic is in here, is purple. And it gives a depth and dimension. So instead of using a gray thread to match the silver beads, I was using my purple thread as an accent. That way, if you see any beads around those 4 demis, because you will in right angle weave usually see the thread. And since you've got your 4 demis together, your pearls are going to sit on top of that thread. So that's why I thought matching the thread to my accent bead would be the prettiest. But there's absolutely no right way or wrong thread color. It's your preference. And so you're going around this about 3 times, right? Because you go around and around again. So we just pulled that tight. And once again, you have to work your way around the circle. So you're exiting out of the bead on the very end. Whatever center bead you're using in between your 6 demis, that's where you exit in the direction you want to move. And since this one we're making a straight line, we just want to do so my tail, I just keep adjusting my tail because I don't have a knot there or anything. I don't know what I want to do here. I don't know if I want to keep going longer or shorter, so that's why I don't have a knot. But if you want to go back down to your demis, you can easily do that. Here I started a pattern where I had 3 demis connecting to my demi side, and then I have 3 pearls connecting into my pearl, and I did a matte pearl and then shiny. So I'm just going to do the reverse. Whenever you're doing a pattern, the easy way to do it is do it in 3s, and then do the center would be different, and then the reverse. So I'm going to just do the reverse. I kind of pattern as I go. I don't know how you guys do it. Sometimes I'll get it together in the, if I've already done it, I might do a new colorway in that version so I can follow it, but otherwise I kind of wing it. So generally I don't let my piece out of my hand because that's when my thread gets all tangled. So controlling your thread is really important. But if it does get tangled, just stop, slow down, breathe, don't pull too hard, and then figure it out. No panic. So once again, I've come out of the left side here. I'm going to go into the right. And since I did a matte pearl over there, I'm going to do a matte pearl over here. And then I'm going to change back to my demi pattern so that it matches my demis over here. So we did a matte and then a purple and then a matte. So there's no rhyme or reason to your patterning, but having something symmetrical usually looks better when it's in a bracelet because it's going around your wrist. So basically. So that's the theory, the moral of adding fun new beads in between, and then you would just go back to doing, and that's how I created this. And so I had a center pattern of pearls, and then I went back down and I used this neat little bead in clasp, which is by the Symbols collection, which is, this one is the Gem Duo. And so since you're doing the right angle weave in the X, that little clasp worked just perfect in there in the spacing. of the little bracelet. I did do another one with the fun pearls, but it's so pink that it's a little hard to see. And I used a bronze lined clear with a rainbow for my size 6 demi, and then a bright pink. So my demis are not very contrasting. So in the pattern, when it's not contrasting, it's hard to tell what it is. So that's why I could not teach with these sparkly, pretty colors, but they do look pretty on your skin, but they're really hard to see. If you want to do a fun double using pearls, this is probably one of my favorite versions of how this turned out. I use this neat, it's another Gem Duo component. I have it with a lobster clasp, but this way it is double wide, 2 of them. And then I use the pearl, went right down the center. So all the little demis are on each side, and then the pearl goes in the center. So it's only 2 rows, but the way you put the placement, it made it look absolutely completely different. We can also do 3 rows. And I was just alternating and having some fun with the pearls here. And so if you want to learn how to do multiple rows, this is actually a 4mm pearl in the center. I didn't upsize. I want to try it with a 6 and see how big, see how the ratio goes. But right now, this is just a 4mm pearl. And so, but we'll show you here how to, if you're going to do a multiple wide band, how is the easiest way to do it. So just like you were on a single row band, your thread is coming out of the center of your 6s. So you're going to add, let's see, in my pattern, I was working a pattern here. I go in gray here. When it's all purple and gray, kind of monochromatic. But so we're starting just like we always did. Once again, clear your playing field and you won't get as tangled. But since I'm trying to bead on Zoom, I have a small little field here. Sorry, guys. There we go. I'll just rethread real quick. I hope you all are having fun. I'm not sure if you've got any other questions, but I'm rethreading my needle, getting you set here to go on a wide band alert here. I really like the wide bands. I think they look really nice on the body. So that's why I'm hoping you all like them as much as I do. And so you're just going to connect like you just did on this first one. Because it's the first of the row, you do it just like you were planning on, just like you were doing it. So since I'm following a pattern over here, I'm looking to see what did I do over here. And on the edge, I was adding a little sparkle to the edge. And then I was putting my pearl in the center. So each side of this, you don't have to do the same. You can do it all completely different. And then over here, I did the mat. So if you can't figure out what you did, just look at the other side. That's how repetitive patterns work, right? Okay. All right, so now we have the first side of 3 done. So I don't want to go forward here I want to go over here and build the center. So that means I'm going to run around all the way and I'm going to exit out my demis over here in the center in the direction I want to go. So I'm just going to pass through to move around where I'm at. This is right angle weave. You can't cut corners. You need to just make 90-degree corners. So you must go around the whole circle to get where you want to go.
Rochelle, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've had a couple of comments on Facebook. They're trying to make the pictures larger and I don't know how to do that.
All you do is double click on the one you want to see larger. We can change it maybe to, you can also change your thing usually to speaker view versus gallery view in the corner of your screen. So maybe that'll work.
On Facebook?
Well, no, I'm going to change it on my Zoom and see if that changes any here.
Okay.
For them. So let's try that out here and see if that makes it bigger for them.
Yeah, I got a bigger picture, or just a single one when Hannah and Julie were working, and then I turned my phone sideways, so I got a landscape view, but I can't get, oh, there we go. Now I've got just you.
Right, so I just changed it now to be speaker view instead of gallery view, so maybe that will be better. If you're on Zoom, you can always adjust your screen yourself by double clicking on the image you want to see.
Okay, there we go. So now we've just got your, well, and now they just show me with no video yapping away.
Right.
But this is, okay, so that's good. So everybody on Facebook, I hope that helps you. And then I would turn your phone or laptop or tablet sideways so you get a landscape view, and that's the biggest screen then. Okay, I'm done.
No worries. So now you should have a bigger view. So what we did is we just created the first X on the side here. We wanted to go through the middle. So instead of coming out the end, I went around one more side and I came out the middle. So I just created my 4-6 beads just like you normally would, but I did it on the side and went out my first one. So now, since I'm connecting to the center, I'm going to pass through this pearl in the center bead, in the center row, excuse me. And then I'll pass through the 6 in that sequence that I just added. So instead of having to add the 3, it was already there. So I just passed through it and connected it. And now I'm going to add my pattern is 3 of these. 1 of you, 1 of you, 1 of you, and pass up here. And then my pattern in the middle is to put a pearl there. There we go. And so now I want to make another one over here on the side. I just finished adding the other fill in the blanks. So now I want to get to over here. So I'm going to pass through and exit out the demis on the side where I want to go. So I just moved through the pearl, moved through the 6-0 demi, and now I'm going to pass through the 3 demis and exit before the 6 right where I want to go. But I want to make sure I don't loop my thread here. There we go. So I'm exiting out the side I want to go. So then I add my 4 6s again. Pass through them all again. So I've situated my 4 new ones, pass through the 3, that you just exited and the first one. So now that X is right there on the side. Now I'm coming out the top here. So I'm just going to work my way around, follow that same pattern. I put a pearl on. And then on my edge, I'm doing the little picot. So I do the 3 demis. And now I'm down to the bottom. So I'm going to catch the pearl that is here from the previous row. And those 6s just hug it. And then I pass through the next 6. So then I move up around the circle. And it pulls nice and tight. Whoops. I missed my 6 right over here. It wasn't laying right when I pulled tight. So that's the idea, is if you miss a bead, you can always just pull your thread and back up, but always check your work before you move forward. And so that's why if you spike your thread when you move, it's hard to back up. But I pull off my needle when I pull out my thread. That way I don't have any issues. And so I missed the 6. See, I need stronger bifocals, obviously. But I had too many beads on there. Sorry, Charlie's. It's easier to rethread your needle than to mess something up and tangle it. So I always just rethread, take off the needle. There we go. So now we're right back where we started. We're on the bottom. So you're going to catch the pearl that's already there and go through the 6s. And we're moving down the road. So now we have finished a horizontal row across of our 3-strand. So we added a whole nother 1, 2, 3 sideways. Now we're moving forward. So we come out of the top again and we'd create the same thing all the way down to the end. And then what I did on the end is I just tapered it down and to add my little, I used the same gem duo clasp on the other end. So it's a really fun bracelet or necklace. You could make it into a necklace. And with the pearls, if you do 4 pearls all the way across, it is a little bit more lacy. It kind of pops a little bit more. The demis are skinnier. So it's starting to do this curve shape a little bit and a little bit of buckle, because the 4 mil, if you do all 4 pearls, it's a little large for the spacing. So it gives a natural curve, and that's, I really like it, but it's really tight of a stitch. There's not a lot of air in it when you fill in those blanks. And I really, really like that. You can use fire polish if you want to fill in the blank. I did do it here on this one. And the only thing with the fire polish is it's longer. And so I did it, it wasn't uniform, where the round pearls were totally uniform. This one, when I did the fire polish on the inside, I downsized to just a demi in between. And so then I started to do some accents. You can even, this one here, I put gem duos on the bottom. And so here, maybe if I put it might be easier to see. There we go. I put gem duos in the bottom of this one. And that way I'm going to add kind of a chain link sort of onto it. And I don't know, I think it's really, really fun. I also added little teeny tiny picots in between, just as an accent. So just because it stuck out a little bit. So this one here is a plain single, just a single, starting it just like we did. And then all I did was switch and then start using fire polish on the outside edge. I didn't use them in the middle. I only used them on the outside. So that way, because it's bigger, and so my X is a skinnier X. And so that was a lot of fun. I think this one might be my favorite just because it's simple, and it beads right in quickly. You can do a variety of things if you want, and you can do this with a normal right angle weave, where it's not the X's and the O's. You can do it straight right angle weave. Let me put my paper behind here again. Maybe that'll work out. You can do it just straight and fill in the blanks just like you always would before. It just is a little different. Like I said, if you're used to your right angle weave, you totally can fill in the blank any way you like. And you can also, so yeah, this one here is the same way. I did a regular right angle weave instead of an X and an O, but I filled in all of my blanks with my right. And then instead of a 6 demi, I used a checkmate diamond. And so when you're doing this stitch, you can do it with any bead. Honestly, it's a really fun, different thing. You can also do this stitch. It'll look the same, but you can do it in peyote. So if anybody hates right angle weave and you want to do the same stitch in peyote, you can. You're just, like I said, maybe that's a whole nother class, but it looks the same as it does in right angle weave. It's kind of really a fun, interesting little stitch. So if you do it monochromatically, where it's all the same color, this is all brass bronze. So you get less dimension if you do it all in the same color versus a contrasting color. I don't know. I think we're having fun, but they make really good bands. And so if you took the Compass Rose class 2 months ago, this was the band, and I just used the Tri-Demi weave band on the Compass Rose. So that makes a really fun bracelet. So they're really neat to do. And then I also made, let's here, change the camera. I also made a necklace. So I used the Tri-Demi weave as the top rope for the necklace. So anything you want to do off of it is just, it's a great base for anything. So on the bottom of it, I just started doing a netting project off of it. So that's what I'm saying is you never know what it might be when you start it, but it could be, you know, an immense, wonderful new statement piece when you're done. And so I think you should just have fun and start playing with it. If you want to alternate sizes and shapes, you can do that too. And it really does change the look and the delicacy. So I was working with size 8s. I went down to size 8s in my X's, and then back up to 6s. So it's kind of how your aesthetic is in your design. And then just go to town with your imagination, but try some different colors. Because if you do it in all gold, it'll look different, you know, than if you have a contrasting color. So I don't know. Any
I want to say thank you so much. I am always continually amazed at your creativity, and I don't know why that should amaze me anymore, because you are. And I just, that necklace is just a spectacular design. And I like that you started with a base row of something as simple as right angle weave and went to netting and then to drops, and you've got a showstopper necklace. So thank you.
Yeah, it really is a lot of fun, and you just never know. And the only reason I came up with it is because I was like, well, what more can I do with this basic stitch? How can I make it look a little more delicate? How can I embellish on top of it? And so I really strongly encourage just playing around with it and changing one bead in your pattern and see what that does. Change 2 beads, see what that does. You know, it's amazing. And that's all, you know, kind of how simple it could be.
Well, that's just wonderful. And I hope that, Facebook watchers, there's such versatility with that pattern. So I'm not the only one who thinks so.
Oh, good. And it really is, you know, something that we can all enjoy and, like I said, work with. So don't be afraid of right angle weave. Like I said, flip it over, and that way you're always going in the same direction. And you'll find some tricks and tips that will really, you'll enjoy it, you know, in a different ways. So I really thank you all for joining us. And if you have any questions, we did put up the pattern there for you to download and bead along with us. There's also another video tutorial on our Bobby Bead YouTube channel of this very own stitch. And the pattern is on our website too if you're shopping for demis. We love our demis, right?
And I think I put it on the UMBS website too. I think there was a
you
link.
can click it from there too and download and join the party. And I also want to show off part of our new setup. We got these neat lights here. They plug into your computer, and it's a ring light, and it can be changed anywhere, because I was missing some light up here last week. So this way, we're now selling these at Bobby Bead. And so, like I said, it plugs into any USB port and then just shines right down on your work, and you can manipulate it different angles and everything. And they're like $10.95, you know. So anytime your computer is on, I mean, that's what's powering it right now. But it really helps, and it gets up there close. Or if you had an iPad and you were doing it, you could certainly. So we're really helping and trying to get more and more different things to help all the designers to teach a lot better and have more of the tools you'll need to teach. So since we have started these Zoom classes, we've figured out new things for us. So we just wanted to share them with you too. And so we are open on Sundays from 11 to 5. And then hopefully by the middle or end of May, for sure, we'll be open Saturdays too. So come on down and see us if you can.
Well, I along with thanking you, definitely, Rochelle, thank you so much for everything. I want to just repeat thanks to Julie and thanks to Hannah Rosner also. Hannah always does a nice job. She's our repeat performer. So thank you again. And and I thought Julie did really well. Yeah. So thank you to Julie.
Very excited to all our teachers for joining us, and I'm looking forward to Tia's on Monday night. I we're gonna do a little bit more with a short video to promote with Tia what she's gonna do and say some more stuff. So look for more posts about Tia's Monday night UMBS speaking engagement for all the UMBS members on Monday, May 3rd.
May 3rd?
Right? Isn't it May 3rd? Correct? Correct me?
Hold on. Got to look at a calendar. For some reason, the 5th is sticking in my brain, but that's not necessary.
My calendar says the 3rd. So yep, Monday, okay. May 3rd.
Oh yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Yep, is our next meeting. And yeah, Tia is our presenting featured designer speaking for our Monday night, and that's a members only event. So if you would like to join the society, then you could join us on that Monday night.
Have you got a video that goes with Tia's demonstration?
We're going to make it in the next week, and then we will, we're gonna, to help as a teaser promoter. She had to go and take her mom somewhere today, so she couldn't stick around with us to tell you more about her Monday night. So we're gonna make a little video and we'll post it live.
Okay, will you send me that and I'll put it on our website too?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Cool.
Thank you. And if anybody would like to teach with us in the future, please contact me. We're looking for teachers. We even have one space for the May event if you're even up for May that fast. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you all. Next Beading Basics Live will be May 15th, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That one I know. God, it takes two of us to figure out the calendar, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a whole bead society. We really love it. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll catch you next time. So there we go. We ended Facebook. All right. Thanks, folks. Thanks, Maggie.